everyone, today I'll be reviewing this brand new horror movie just dropped on Netflix called Janji Darah. And this movie, it is from Indonesia. And in this movie, you see this happily married couple, like they are expecting their first child. And when I guess the wife get pregnant in this movie, we see in this movie they start getting all this visited by some supernatural present. After, especially the wife, she really get hunted by this ghost in this movie. After that incident, the husband, he tried to look into his past, and of course in this movie starts with, we see in the past he has this cousin, and he was going into this place like with his cousin named Dina in this movie, and later on we learn more about like what happened. So I thought overall this movie is the first act, I will say it is a little bit slow, I guess. Like, it's not very exciting, but as this movie went on, I thought overall this movie was quite interesting watch. I thought it is, at a time it was quite scary, and however, though, even though it's scary and everything, I did not like the monster design. They're really very gross looking, which grossed me out a couple of times, the way all this monster was designed in this. But overall, still, I thought this movie is actually very intense, especially the last act for this movie is where it gets really interesting. Even though it gets interesting, still overall this movie, it is very predictable simply because this kind of, ghost, like the hunting curses stuff is always like this. Even though it's predictable, still very intense last act. Overall made this movie, it was good to watch. It's not bad. I just personally didn't like that some scene is really very gross looking. So I'll be going into spoiler in this movie. So if you have not seen it, spoiler warning. Of course, this movie starts with, we see like the husband, I forgot his name, Taran or something, right? He has this pact with his cousin Dina, who is she's really crazy in this movie. That is where, like, once this movie revealed her identity, wow, she's really this crazy cuz, she was just going after him. And when they were little, they made this pact. She was just holding on to that like crazy. And I was like, wow, it was really crazy. She was into this supernatural thing. And obviously she came in contact with this demon. I guess throughout the movie, she was possessed by it. I guess that is this movie implied. Like when it ended, like she was possessed by the demon, and the demon was coming after Tehran as well. However, I guess the way the last scene, how he was sucking his soul away and then he was okay. That scene was, I was like, wow, he's really sucking his soul. It took him a long time to get back to life. But still, that scene was quite intense. The last act for this movie is actually quite intense. I was like, wow. I was really edge of my seat because I didn't know what was going to happen. So overall, I actually quite enjoyed this movie. I was like, wow. Although the first act, I was saying, it is a little bit slow burn. But as, as this movie shows you what is going on with the demon and this cousin, this movie became dramatically interesting. And the way it was done, it is very intense. Some of the scene you really feel the intensity, and the cousin was just wow. She was into this supernatural horror stuff. She was going into all these places and she was looking for it. Wow, her ending is really tragic. But I'm glad she was free of the demon end of this movie. Overall, I found this movie to be quite interesting, and all the acting in this movie is actually quite good, and there's seriously some scary scene. I was like, wow. I just did not like the monster design. It just looks so gross. I get it, that is the point of it, but he just looks too red. It's just too red looking, and the thing was dripping from his mouth. It really looks gross. But that is the point of it, the demon's not supposed to be looking pretty and exciting. So I get that. Overall, this movie was quite interesting, honestly. I found it overall, like the main story for it, like what was the pact between these two people and what was it going for. I found it's really very intense. Even the end was saying, even this cousin Dina, she's really crazy. She even pushes her mom because I guess she was not doing that. I guess this movie told us like the demon was doing it. So I guess it made sense. Overall, this movie is actually quite intense. I personally really liked. But it is, the first act is a little bit slow, but I do understand they were building the character. Overall, it was quite intense watch, and that was my thought on this movie. Let me know in the comment, what do you think about this movie? If you enjoyed this review, watch other reviews on other Indonesian movie. If you enjoyed this, please subscribe. Until I see you next time, please take care.